Hey guys, I'm going to be doing a video today explaining how to change the camshaft to a regrind. So I'm going to be changing my camshaft to that 270 regrind, and I'll just be videoing essentially the step-to-step process of how it's supposed to be done. Yeah, and then we'll start it up and we'll see how it's going overall. So our first thing you want to do is you want to take these two bolts here off the top, and then expose the top of your camshaft, so you can start working on that. Alright, so I've taken those two bolts off there, and then what you probably need to do is get like a small little pinch bar like this, and there'll be a little corner in there, and just get it in there and then just lift it up like that. Jesus. This one here is probably going to come up. Yep, here we go. Yeah, disconnect all your wires and stuff off it. And then I'll just grab that little bar here. Yeah, once you get it up a little, then just, yeah, like that. That's her. Get it on that side there. It right up, there you go. And what I've done there is usually it has a little piece that goes over or goes into there. I've actually cut that out. It's a waste of time, so I can just slip this over here. Makes it easy access. And yeah, it's just if you put this here on, you can't sometimes get that in. But when you cut that little tab there off, if you put the valve cover on, then you can still slip that in. So I just cut that all the way up there and just all the way down there. Little wee quick access little mod. So I'll come back to you once I get this all off. So this is what my current engine looks like at the moment. So as you can see in there, very clean on the inside there. There's no carbon build-up or anything like that. The only problem with this, and a lot of problems with the 2Es that you'll find, is the valve stem seals were made out of crappy material. So they'll always let go on these engines, so you need to replace those, and I haven't replaced mine at the moment, so it smokes a little bit and uses a tiny bit of oil. But if you replace those with the newer sort of type of valve stem seals, then you'll be going not too bad. You can see there's like a little bit of wear, but it's nothing excessive. You can see there's a little bit, so on the sides there you can see there's not much wear in there. And then just on that middle piece is a bit of wear. It's overall not bad, but the thing what you want to do is you want to take a picture of where these are located, and then from there then you'll always know, so when you go to take this off then you know exactly where to put it back on. So just make sure you take a picture of them, and yeah, I'll get back to you with the next little piece, which what we have to do is just pull all these bolts off the cover over here. So there's one here, one there, and then what you want to do is get an impact wrench, cut your wheel, and then take this here off, which I'll show you how to do next. Yeah, so once you got the all the bolts out of that little hole there, that one there, and that one down there, then just remove that so it exposes the top of the timing gear. And keep all your, I recommend use this as a tool tray, and just grab all your bolts and just put them inside here like that, and then nothing goes missing, and then you know where it's all been put. And then the next part, what you want to do is you want to cut your wheel, so your wheel's like this, and then get a impact driver and put a 17 in there, and then just whack that one there off. So I'll show you how to do that in a few seconds. And then once you've got pretty much all that off, the other part that you will need to do, which I'll quickly just do now, there's a 14 in the bottom, which is that one right there, and I'll just focus it for you, that one there. You need to get a spanner and a ring spanner and just take that off, because it's got a nut and then it's a bolt, so you need to put one on one side and one on the other side, and then you can take that one there off. And then this is just a 12 on the top there, so you just need to use a 12 spanner. So I always undo this one here first and then go under with the thing and then undo the 14. Alright, so what I've done is I've loosened that 12 there, and then the whole alternator has been able to see it's all free moving, so you can move that backwards and forwards. And then I've went down here and just loosened that that 14 there off. And then what you do there is grab the belt, wiggle it off, let it drop down there, pick it up, and then yeah, just put that on the ground, it doesn't matter. And then the next part's taking this one here off. Now sometimes, because I've already taken this off before, it's probably going to come off alright because I spray WD on it. But sometimes when you don't lube the keyway, then when you go to take the Harmonic balancer on, it's just a little bit rusty, and it will get stuck. So you'll need to buy a Harmonic balancer puller tool. And what it does is it has little spider legs that connect like around these holes here. It connects around it, and then you use a bolt and it pushes against it once you've got this pulled here out. Yeah, it's got like a little what's it called, chamfered like little sort of screw head that fits inside there, and then when you tighten it up, it grabs around here and it pulls it out. It works not bad, but if it doesn't come off the first time, what I recommend doing is spray it with WD, let that sit for 10 minutes, and then grab the blowtorch out and just give it a heat up with the blowtorch, and then try that, and that usually will help it, because once you use the blowtorch it helps to expand the metal, and then once that happens you'll be able to pull it out. Alright, so what we're going to do is, so I got the socket which is a 19mm for the Harmonic balancer down there. I've got it connected up to a Makita torque wrench, and I've just got enough extension to where I bend the wheel that when I stick this on here, it's got enough, see how it's touching it slightly, and then what I do is get it, now you want to get it nice and square on here, you want to be 100%, you see that, flat, and then and it should come off, but it ain't. It's a bit weird. So I'm having some slight trouble getting this bolt here off, so what I'm going to do is got a little bit of WD-40, get it right in between the crack there, and just give it a real good spray in there, and then let that sit for maybe 10 minutes just to penetrate. And then wipe it off before you put your thing on so it doesn't create slippage, and then you'll be all good. And then so I'm going to come back in about 10 minutes, give my gun a bit of a charge up because the battery was also a little low, and then I'll see if I can get it off. But yeah, overall the engine's not running too bad, and it doesn't look like there's too much excessive wear or anything on the cams, so it's telling me that the engine's running optimal. So yeah, I'll just get around to getting this cam all cleaned up, and I'll show you how to get it all cleaned up and prepped for chucking into the car. And then we'll pull the Harmonic balancer off, and then I'll get to chucking it in, and I'll show you what you have to do with the feeler gauges for the clearances. And you can run these on the stock TUI cam gear, there's no really problems with that. But it is sort of recommended to have an adjustable one. I don't have one, but that's what the guy who done my regrind said on the cam. He said you're better off having an adjustable cam gear so you can get it to the correct degree. So yeah, I'll go show you how to do that. Alright, so what I'm doing to prep my camshaft is I'll put on the front seal here. And what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to go grab my WD-40 like this, and just go along and just give it a wee spray over the overall lobes. I'm not trying to get this into anything because I'm going to spray some other oiling compound just to put it in. And then you want to grab a fresh rag, which I'll come back to, and you just want to give all this a bit of a wipe, and just make sure that everything's in not bad fresh condition. Alright, so I've gave that all a nice wipe down with the WD here, so that's all good. Everything's mostly all cleaned off it. It's got like a few little spots like that, but that little piece of surface rust, but realistically that will burn out once it's in the engine, it's not a problem. And then what you're going to do here is I'll grab my engine assembly lube. So yeah, I'll grab my engine assembly lube, and then what you want to do is just go along the camshaft and just give it a wee drizzle everywhere. And what this is just going to do is when it goes in to the engine, it's just got a little bit of oil on the camshaft, just so it doesn't munt all the the rockers, because you need oil on all this before you put it in the first time. And if you want to, which I will do, I'll just get my fingers and I'll just spread that all in across the whole camshaft, and then that's all good to go. This stuff's pretty cheap, like $30, and you use it for pretty much assembling everything. It's usually used for like assembling the bearings, but it's really good oil. And I don't want any wear on my camshaft because it's already been reground. So what this is set to is what I want. I don't want excessive wear in it. So yeah. But I pulled out my brother's 266 camshaft last night, and I compared it to the grind of this camshaft, and this camshaft here, to me, from what I've seen, looks like it's a lot more aggressive. It has a bit more of a lobe on it, so I would say this is somewhere in the ballpark of a 270, almost a 270 I would say. It'd be like a 269 or 268, but it's definitely close, I'd say, to a 270 TRD one. The only problem that I had with it was when I was going to put the camshaft together, it was missing this little notch here, and this notch is important because it's the keyway for where this piece here sits on, and it goes into here. So what I've done is I just got like a little bolt, and I just used my Dremel right here. Alright, so I'll let that oil, that WD, soak in, and then I was able to get the bolt off easy as, no problems. Then I just gave this a slight little wiggle, and then boom, this come off. You can see down here that that's extremely clean. Most times when you'll pull that off, that will be rusty as, and you'll probably have to use heat and a lot of WD, but this one here come off quite easily. The last time I took this off was maybe like 2 months ago, and I retimed all the engine. So yeah, if you've taken it off recently, you'll have no problems. If you've taken it off ages ago, then you'll have heaps of problems. And that's the little mark there, that's where you'll see all your timing indication. But I'll show you essentially how to time the vehicle as well, which is simple and I'll show you a quick wee trick about how to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off all these bolts on the cover. So there's one there, there's one down there, and then there's a couple down in the side here, which I won't be able to show you, they're quite hard to look at, but yeah, you'll just have to have a look around, and then you'll be able to see them. And then once you pull those bolts off, you'll be able to pull this black cover off, and then once you've got that off, then I'll show you essentially what you have to do after that to get all this belt here off. And then once you've got the belt off, then we take these here off, and then you just lift the cam out, chuck the other one back in, and then just do the process, but essentially in reverse. And then you've just got to time the engine, which is very, very simple. If you follow a real easy trick, you have no problems. And yeah, I'll quickly show you essentially how to do that. Alright, so hey guys, so what I've done is I've taken all the bolts out of here. So there's one here, there was one down in here, and there's one just under that water pump right there. And then you take this cover here off, and you put that down there, and then it will have a little thing like that. Now make sure you take a picture of this, because there's one specific way that it will go on, and then there's the other way that it won't, and then that's going to cause a lot of problems. And if you put it this way here and put that on there, trust me, you don't want to do that. It's going to be major dusties. So yeah, just make sure that you put it back on like this, away from it, and then yeah, you'll be all good. And yeah, put that up there with all your bolts and stuff. Don't lose that, because you 100% need that. And so now all you have to do is undo that tensioner right there, or yeah, that would be the easiest way. Undo the tensioner, which I think is a 12, and then from there, then you can take the belt off, and then once you've got the belt, then we'll start working on the top of the head here. Alright, so I've just undone that tensioner just down there, and what I usually do is I just grab my fingers and I put it inside the cam gear like that, and then you just wrench it back like this, and just keep pulling it. And I'm doing this with one hand, so if I can do this with one hand, it's easy, trust me. Yeah, come on, that's the one. And then you might hear a little wee ping like that, that's good. And then yeah, you just pull all that off and that's all good. And then you just chuck that in your pile. And then the next part now is to pull off all this. So what I'm going to go do is grab a little piece of cardboard, and I'll put it over by my fuse box there, and I'll lay this in, and I'll lay all these out in the actual order that I pull them out, so that everything goes back in the way that it's been taken out. And I'm going to bring my camshaft up here now, and then I'll get that all ready to go put in. Alright, so I'm back, and this is just the easiest way to do it. So you just get your 12, put it on with the impactor, and just rip that shit straight up, no problems. Just chuck it on there. See these ones here? These are probably a nut. Nah, that one there's all good, it's just this one here. It's a little bit too bloody close. Okay, so that one there you probably can't do. And just go around and just loosen all these up. Get on there. Yeah, that one there's all good. So it's just that end one there, and I'll probably have to crack it with a ring spinner. But the main part to do with this is make sure that you have even pressure and you don't try to round these off, because you can see on, what one is it, this one here, I tried to do it with the normal one, and she started to try to do some rounding action. So when I seen that, I was just like, nah, better off just being safe than sorry, and end up breaking something or rounding it off. So this one here, I'll just get a ring spinner, and then I'll just grab a mallet and just give it one good hit, and that will break it, and then after that I should be fine to get it all the way up. So yeah, and then yeah, once you've got all these off, I've just put a little piece of cardboard down here by my fuse box, and then I lay it exactly in the line that'll take it off, and then when I put it back on, so this will be the front up here, and this will be the back. And then yeah, when I put it back on, I'll have no problems. And yeah, just put a little bit of assembly lube or something like that, or just even a little bit of oil when you're putting your new camshaft in, just to make sure there's no wear or anything like that. And then yeah, you'll be all good. So the next part that we'll need to do is just take the the dizzy off here. So there's a bolt here, and there's another bolt there below my sprite can. You can just see it there. And then yeah, then you can pull the dizzy out and there's no problems there. Alright, so I've undone those 2 screws there on the dizzy, and then what you have to do is just unplug all your leads. So there's the whole lot taken out. And then if you had vacuum advance, you'd have to disconnect that. And then there's a small little plug here, disconnect that. And then once you've done that, just give it a slight little wiggle, and then boom, comes out. And yeah, the other part that you'll have to look for is just make sure that the seal here is in good nick, which mine is. If they're all flat, that means they're buggered. They should be still round, or else you have oil leaking down all the side here. Like it actually looks like it even actually has been, so I might even have to go change that, because that looks like it's leaking oil. But yeah, usually it will leak oil down there. So yeah, so the next part that I'm going to do here is just take all these caps here off, and I'm just going to line them up right here, and then after I've done that, then I'll chuck my other camshaft in, and then yeah, it should be in not too bad nick. Alright, so I realised that you don't have to remove that, so that's a bit of a waste of time just lifting that one there up, that's all good. So I've removed all the other caps, and then I've lined them all up there, and that's the water, so that's the So this one here is that one there, and then the one at the front there's obviously that one there, so it goes in that order. And so what I'm going to do now is lift this camshaft here up, and I'll obviously do this off camera because I don't want to munt anything. And then I've got this one here, this all had all lube rubbed all in it, and then I've screwed the front gear there all on, so that's all ready to go. And then what I want to do right here is I just want to see how that one there is set up, and then have a look at the front gear and just see how that's set up there. So now I know that that's how, so the 2E needs to be up. So now when I put the other cam in, I'm going to put it in the same exact way, and then you'll have no problems. And then just put the caps back on, get it all, you know, timed and everything like that, and then you're all good. So yeah, I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so what you want to do here is set that to around about sort of 30 foot-pounds, and then just torque all these bolts here all up to 29 or 30 or so foot-pounds. And then after you've done that, then you'll want to torque up this, make sure that cam gear there's torque spec as well, if you've taken that off. And then you've just got to put that little black ring in the inside of there, and then you're all sweet. And then after that, just chuck the dizzy in. Alright, so I've just tightened up all that there, so that's all the torque spec. All these are all now all the torque spec. Done all those torque spec, and then I've just chucked the dizzy in, so I'll just chuck the bolts and stuff in, and then get ready to time this. So you'll need to take your first spark plug here out, and then I'll show you how to check it. But it's a pretty easy method, and then just make sure that this is lined up, and I'll show you how to line that up in a few seconds. Alright, so there's a little notch there. You can see that little notch, and you have to line it up, that little notch there on the oil one. So it's a little bit off there, but I'll just line that up. You can line that up by hand. But so yeah, you put this back on, and then you just turn it until it's lined up there. Now, the reason why you want to take out the first spark plug, you might even be able to see that. You can even see that on camera, but that's the spark plug right there. And as you can see, she's bloody clean on the top. You can see the S that's on the spark plug, so I can go show you a picture of the one in the garage, and you can, yeah, you can see that. So that engine there, she's pretty clean. So what you need to do here, so once you've got all that lined up, there's a little wee dot, and this thing's going to focus. There we go. There's a little dot that's inside there, and you want to line that up so that's 100%. And then once you've got that lined up on the top of there, and you've got that one there lined up on the bottom there, then that's your engine completely timed. I don't do any special timing stuff. This is 100% factory, but you can sort of see it. There's that little red mark in there. You want to get that lined up 100%, so that's slightly off. So I'll go line these up 100%. Alright, so what I've done here is I pulled that all the way back, tightened that, got that all lined up, so that's all 100% there now. And you'll be able to see in that little hole there, but there's like a little red dot. That's right in that hole there. And once that's lined up, then you're all good. Chuck your belt on. So then what you want to do, crack that bolt there off, which I will do, and then I'll put this like that, so that's facing it outward, like the way that it come off. And then yes, I'll get this off, and then I'll show you what to do. Alright, so once you've got all that done, and it's all, make sure that it's all still lined up on the dots, you release the tensioner, and then just tighten that back up once it's been released, and then put all your bottom cover now back all on, and then you can put your top cover back on as well. Yeah, I can put my top cover on, I have no problems, because I can just put my thing over. And yeah, and then once you've made sure that's all lined up, then you'll have no problems. Alright, so I've just chucked all the bolts and stuff all on there now, chucked all the bolts all on there. So my next thing I'm going to do is chuck all the harmonic balancer all on. So I'll just chuck that back on, and then just use my drill there, and I'll just use that to torque it up, and torque it up to around about, I think it's 17 Newton meters or something like that. So I'll just torque it on the medium setting, and that's about right. and then I'll put the head on, and then I'll fire it up, and then once I've fired it all up and got it warm, then I can do all the valve clearances, because it has to be warm for you to do all that. Alright, so I've now finished that, and I've went round and I've tightened up my alternator. So that's all good, all the slack on there. I've done the bolt at the bottom of the alternator, tightened up all these, put my spark plug back in, connected all the wires back up for the dizzy, the plug there, and also all the coils. So everything's all ready to go. So now what I've done is I've checked over the engine, make sure there's no loose bolts or anything. And then the last thing I'm going to do before I start is I'm going to hand crank the engine over, and I'm going to listen to see if there's any like valves touching any pistons or anything like that. And if there's anything like that happening, then I'm going to know, okay, it's not ready to start up. The other thing I need to do is I need to put my accelerator cable back on, because I did disconnect that. Just makes it a lot easier when you're working on your car. Alright, so I've hand cranked it over, had a listen to it. I don't hear any sort of valves touching any pistons or anything like that, so it's set currently on the moment. Okay, so I've just finished up hand cranking the engine, listening to see if there was anything to do with the valves. So it sounds all good. Everything sounds like it's all in time. So that's all good. So I've set it at around about sort of 0 degrees timing. At the moment I haven't got my light or anything out, so I'm just going to do this all by sort of ears. And now I'm going to crank it on, and we'll see what it sort of sounds like. So just give it a few. I have to connect the accelerator cable, because that probably helps, so I'll get back to you after I do that. Alright, so I've just connected back up the accelerator cable, so we'll give it a wee bit of a start now. We'll see what it sounds like. Okay. If you don't want to start. Oh, this thing's definitely, it sounds a lot more deadly. Now I need to go listen to this, because it's sounding quite a bit valve ticky. So it means that the valve clearances are not correct. So that can be an issue depending on how much they're out. So we'll let this try go into an idle. Oh, this is nice. So yeah, she's sounding quite good. Alright, so what I'm doing now is I've now pulled everything back off, and I've just let it warm up just a little bit, and I've got it's a 0.0, 0.008 PC, I don't know, and I'm using that. I just use it for the whole lot. Some people say use 0.10 for like the intake and the exhaust. I'm going to get it pretty rough, and then usually it runs not too bad. So I ran that, and you can still see there's a bit of the assembly lube still on the cam there, so that's why you put a little bit of that on. Just makes everything run real sweet. So yeah, you undo these with your 12, and then you can adjust these up and down with a screwdriver. And then you make sure that these are up on the top, the lobes, and then you just slide that under. So at the moment, I can already, that's way too loose. So they all need to come up, and I'm going to have to do this for the whole lot. So I'll just show you real quick what I'm actually doing. So there's this one here, so I've got it all set up, and the screws was all the way down here, and with all of them I've already had to put them all up, so I've just went around the impactor, undone the whole lot, and I'm getting them right up to about the tip there. So about there, get my screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, and then just going all the way down to the screw hits, and then the way that I measure it, so I'll wait till I get it all the way down. So it's come up quite a bit. Like, you might look at that and you might be like, holy crap, that's a lot. But that's what happens when you put a big cam in it, and if you look right there, that won't fit, so that's too much. So what I need to do there is I need to come back, but it is in the realm, but it's almost to the point where the head won't be able to take it, so it's a little bit too much. So you get it to about there, and then I just do the nut up now, and then yeah, put that in there, and that's nice and snug, so that's perfect. Alright, so I went down and around and adjusted all the valve lashings, and they were originally like had quite a few centimetres sticking up, and they're all pretty much at the same here now, at 0.8, roughly all about the same, which is almost completely maxed out. So this camshaft here is a lot more than 266. With the 266 we still had a little bit more. These are almost like the tops of the adjustment screw. So I'll give it a start up once I put all the rest of the bits and pieces back together, and we'll see what it sort of sounds like. It should have less of a sort of tractory, sort of clacking noise, because that's what actually causes a lot of it, is if you have all your valve clearances and stuff out and they're just not in check. So I'll just get round to doing that now. Alright, so I've just finished all the valve clearances and stuff on it, so I'll give it a start up now and we'll sort of see how it goes. Yeah, it sounds a bit better. She doesn't want to stay going. She's a definitely, I can feel it, man. She's a pretty lumpy cam for sure. I have to keep my foot on that just to keep that idling, but she's going not bad. You can hear it pulsing. It's trying to shoot flames at idle right there. I can hear it. It's bloody good. Yeah, it's definitely lumpy.